Come on in, man. Door's open. Come on in. Water's fine. Good to see you, man. What you got? What could I got? A hat. Trading gifts. Oh, man after my own heart. I do love coffee. How you doing?
You got new cameras.
Huh?
New cameras?
Yeah, two different cameras. I didn't like the other ones because they wouldn't focus. It's like a pit. Keep throwing money at it. Just throw money at it. Throw money at it. How's life going?
It's going good. Trying to get over these allergies, man.
Well, mine too. Right now, I got lungs. It's been hitting me, and I feel like I can't get my breath. So I went down to the VA and they took my O2 levels, and it was fine, and everything else. It's like when I'm sitting or if I'm standing, I'm fine, but and I hope it's not asthma.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Oh, yeah.
So I put your questions right there for you. You probably already got them out there. We are live, but not live. All right, everybody. Anybody out there? Looks like we got 2 viewers already. Let me transition the slide so you can see me. And Stacy Ball's back in the studio with us today. Stacy, thank you so much for coming back again.
Thanks for having me, Doug. I'm glad to be back.
Let me turn your microphone on so everybody can hear more than just me. There we go.
Glad to be back, Doug. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. You've been busy.
Yes, sir.
It's a thankless job out in that heat.
Oh, man. Hey, I was putting up signs yesterday and felt like I was going to fall out. I had to grab some water. It was always like about 5 minutes of sign. And
Yeah, we got some neighbors putting in a retaining wall across the street, and I went out and talked to them. I said, "Hey, you guys take a break because I'm sweating over here. I'm sitting in the house, and we'll get some bad connection here. Hold on. Be patient, everybody." Test. That's a little better. Let me check yours.
test.
Much better. Much better.
Right.
Now we can get on the show. First thing is foremost, thank you so much for being a sponsor, Stacy, as well. Thanks to Nick. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to, most of all, Peru Law office down there for being our gold sponsor. And also special shout out to A2Z Extermination. We're standing here. We're not fumigated. They just did our house, and they're the best in the business as far as I can tell. So I invite everybody to look them up, A to Z Extermination, up on Facebook. They do good work and always do good work. So one of the things I wanted to talk about this time, Stacy, was talking what I consider the intangibles. When it talks about, everybody can say you're qualified, you're not qualified by your parchment. But I think we were talking a little bit earlier about how when somebody sees a sheriff, it's probably not a good occasion. And it's probably not the best point in life. And we need to have some of them intangible, nebulous qualities about a person. And one of those is leadership. You can, some can say you can measure leadership by the outcomes that you have, but maybe you could expand or talk again about what kind of leadership principles and theory you want to bring if you become sheriff of Pulaski County.
Yep. Well, for a leader, to me, a leader leads from the front.
Yeah.
Leads by example. You think of a leader, you think of, you think you're George Pattons, you think you're MacArthur's, those guys led from the front, and they had that aura about them that, when they talk, people listen.
Sure.
You got to have that kind of an attitude to be a leader like that. As far as me, going back, when I was growing up in the military, I was trained by some of the best NCOs, the best officers that I could possibly ever ask for in my 20 years.
Right.
I had great partners. I had great mentors that showed me the ropes, show me how to be a leader, show me how to take care of people. Show me it's not an I thing, it's a team thing. So, the bottom line is you take care, and what I was always taught by Sergeant Major, you take care of your soldiers, they will take care of you. Don't worry about the awards, don't worry about the accolades. If you're taking care of your soldiers, they will take care of you, and you'll get yours in the end, but you make sure your soldiers get theirs.
Sure.
You do put them into position, you put your people into positions where they can excel, where they can achieve. And don't, when you start worrying about what people think or what people think of you, or thinking, wait, how am I doing, and asking for that gratification back. That's not what a leader does.
Right.
A leader leads, a leader develops, a leader counsels, trains, mentors, and that's what we need in the sheriff's department. Those deputies need to be trained, they need to be mentored, they need to be counseled, they need to be guided. They're going to make mistakes, sure, but that's how we learn.
Sure.
We've all made our mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Nobody here's on earth walking on water. So
I remember coming on active duty in 1988, many decades ago, and the lack of leadership that was given to me, and just basically had to fumble it out myself. And to me, it was wasted so many years of the first big foundational years.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what a good leader looked like.
Yep.
And I can't agree with you more. It's so important.
When you find that leader, you latch onto them, and you stick with them, and you're like a sponge. You take everything in. But when it comes to the sheriff's department leadership, no, I've never held a leadership position in the sheriff's department, but I was a corporal. I was a detective for the narcotics, so I was considered a corporal. And if there's any, as far as leadership goes, yeah, I was leading myself, but it takes somebody, you got to know, you got to get in there and start fighting for what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. So, using the people that I work with, to help me get those control buys. I mean, getting them to say the right thing and do the right thing and act the way I need them to act to at the end have that victory at the end with the search warrant. And I mean, it's not a job everybody can do. You see it on TV. You see that stuff that like Training Day and stuff like that, where people and you see these movies, people buying dope, and not everybody can do that. You go undercover, you put somebody undercover, and you do some undercover work, and you'll see that you come into some decisions that,
sure,
and I'll talk about that later. But to me, all that stuff is part about being a leader too, doing the right thing and being able to make people do what you need them to do to accomplish the mission.
Sure.
And that was my old thing, working with my CIs, getting them to do what they need to do. Let's accomplish the mission. And again, you'll be rewarded in the end.
Right.
If you're working off a charge, or if you're volunteering and you're working for money, either one. But it's got to be a successful outcome.
How would you say that transparency affects your leadership, the effectiveness of your leadership? Because I can imagine being in a scenario where if the subordinates, wherever you are, you're not transparent enough with them on exactly what your goals, purpose, and motivations are, you're getting nowhere.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they just because they're an addict or on drugs or whatever,
right.
They're not stupid.
Right.
They're street smart. They will read right through you, and they'll call the BS as soon as you put it out there. They're going to call it. So I didn't use my name, but I was as honest as I could be with who I was working with, because at the end of the day, they had to trust me.
Right.
What I'm telling them, and I had to trust them too, because yes, there's a procedure to doing all that. There's rules to doing all that, and we read them the rules and we tell them what we expect of them, and they got all that stuff. And then I tell, hey, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I need you to be 100%. We're a team right now.
Right.
That's the way it goes, because if not, then you're going in to buy, give them money to buy a gram of methamphetamine. You come back and you get a few chunks. I mean, hey, what happened? You got to be able to trust them. You got to be able to, but at the same time, I mean, it's a two-way street.
Sure.
So.
And especially dealing with transparent with your deputies, and say they should be able to. I always felt like you should always know what your leader's doing, not everything, but you at least understand why. Don't tell me just what I'm supposed to do. Tell me why I'm doing it. Help me understand and build my
purpose, direction, motivation.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to switch gears to integrity. Now, you've been around the world, been in all kinds of positions, leadership, most of them, no doubt. And in the law enforcement career and your military career, talk about the importance of integrity and how you're going to bring that to the table.
Well, integrity, especially as a law enforcement officer, doing the right thing legally, morally. That is a law enforcement officer. That's our bread and butter. If once we lose our integrity, you might as well find a different profession.
Right.
Because you're not going to get anywhere on the witness stand. You're not going to get anything in your depositions. The judges aren't going to believe. The lawyers aren't going to believe you.
Right.
The jury's not going to believe you.
Once you break that trust.
Exactly. So, in integrity in law enforcement, I mean, everything that you do in law enforcement, especially cases, I'll go back to narcotics, but I've done rape cases, I've done thefts, I've done burglaries, I've done just about every type of case you could that we have in Pulaski County. And when you're doing that case, that it doesn't matter what you think of the person you may be putting charges on or anything.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you think of them. Is you need to think that, hey, this is the charge and this is why. You can't make stuff up. You make stuff up, it's going to get called out, and then you just blew your integrity. So, and that's and if you lie, if your integrity is violated for something stupid on a case or something like that, and lying on a report or something like that, I mean, you don't deserve to be a cop. You don't need to be a cop. You're a bad apple, as far as I'm concerned. So that, I mean, everything that you put together in that case is nothing but, it should be nothing but, reading through it. That's intent. This is what happened.
And the deputy should be able to look at you and just believe what's coming out of your mouth is factual.
Yes.
It's they can trust your word.
Right. The deputies, I mean, as their leaders, their sheriff.
Sure.
I mean, if I jeopardize my integrity by doing something, because I'm like I said, lead from the front,
Sure.
lead by example. If I jeopardize my integrity with them, then that's that. Now they can just it's a free for all. It's anarchy.
Right.
Now they can do what they feel they can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer leading by example. And if you're doing the right thing, I expect you. If I'm doing the right thing, I expect you to do the right thing. That's a standard. That's a attainable standard. There's no, it's not way up here immeasurable. It's right. Here's the standard.
And and it should be common knowledge as well. And if it isn't, make it common knowledge.
Right. And they have a question, and if they have something with their case or something like that, I mean, they come to me for advice or guidance, and I need to give them that advice. I don't BS them through it and say, just try it. See what the prosecutor says. See what the...
No, you won't be friends with Kevin for very long.
Not at all. I mean, you got to be able to, to talk the talk and walk the walk.
We got a first question from Terry Barler. Thank you so much for your comments, Terry. I appreciate you chiming in. With the ever-changing laws regards to registered sex offenders and them being allowed in our public schools, how do you plan to advocate for the parents and children of Pulaski County?
Being allowed in public schools, they don't go to Waynesville schools.
Yeah,
they're not allowed to come.
Within 50 feet, or
I've had that incident before. As a matter of fact, I had it this year. And had to make a phone call, letting them know you can't come on school property.
Yeah, because I thought they couldn't do anything, couldn't be near it.
They have to have permission from the superintendent of the school district, which I don't. Well, this person didn't have, but they have to have certain permission. And with that, I will tell you with the sexual with the offenders, that's something that we need to go back and make sure our database is up to date, because with that incident that I'm talking about, I had one address and the school had another address.
Mm-hmm.
Online on the registry, it has the one address, but not the address that's reported to the school. So I called the sheriff's department, said, hey, this person's on the registry. His address online is this, but his address with us is this address with the school. So we need, and I confirmed he's at this address. So we need to find that out.
Yeah,
so
because we actually get those alerts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because with that, some of them move, and every Halloween we go around and we do and I don't know if they did it this year, and I can't say if they did or didn't, but I was usually in there doing them. We go around and we check the offenders, the offender list, and we confirm their address. We confirm they know the rules of Halloween. That's something that absolutely 100% needs to happen. But confirming those addresses, because they're supposed to come in and check in. Sure. Depending on what their probation is for that, so they're supposed to come to the sheriff's office, check in every month or every 6 months, whatever they're told to do. And constantly make sure that we know exactly where we can find them if we need them. Gotcha. So that offender registry definitely needs to be looked at and made sure that we confirm all those.
Would it be an understatement? Would it be an understatement of magnificent proportions to say there's very strict rules about that stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I figured.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be closely and tightly controlled. Yeah.
I can only speak for Waynesville schools. Yeah. And it's the law. I mean, they can't go within a certain feet of the school or park or anything like that. I have not seen any change on that, and we had that incident, and that's exactly how we handled it.
But needless to say, you will do everything you can to protect the children of.
100%.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your comment, Mr. Barler. I appreciate it. If you want to expand on it below, go ahead, or you can call in if you want to talk about it, what have you. The number's on the screen as well. But going back to our discussion, we talked a little bit about leadership, bringing it to the department, and in your integrity as sheriff. those also lead directly to or blend into another intangible, which is community engagement, building up the trust of the community through transparency. How do you plan to accomplish that? Because I think right now, based on what I see on social media, of course, you're only going to get what you're going to get in social media.
Absolutely.
I think we're lacking that tremendously in our sheriff's department. No fault of the deputies, it is what it is. But I see some room for improvement, and I think many others do. Tell me what you're going to do.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, and I brought this up before, is town hall meetings.
Right.
Town hall meetings. We need to get back to them and invite the public in and have them online. So those that can't make it or may not want to come, but want to watch it online, they can watch it online, right. And that's to be worked out. But that's one of the first, as far as building that transparency and that public trust and getting the information out to the public, are those town hall meetings. After that, when we're talking about Facebook and talking about the social media, rather, we need, the public wants to know what's going on.
Sure.
We need to let the public know. The public deserves to know what their deputies are doing. They're paying our salaries.
Right.
We're in the helping people business. I mean, that's all there is to it. So with that said, we make an arrest. We're charging somebody, we're booking them in jail. And I see a lot of backlash on Facebook. Why are you posting pictures of, why are you posting, I'm posting pictures of people that we're arresting and and charging with a crime. Yet they're charged.
Right.
They're not convicted. They're charged.
Right.
But the people need to know what's going on in the county. And if they don't know what address block, because we don't put the exact, we put the block.
Right.
Where this is happening, it might happen right up the road. You have no idea.
Right.
What's going on. That's situational awareness for everybody. And that's all. That's not to make fun of it. It's not to show that, just make fun of.
Sure.
And make them look, like the scum of the earth or anything like that. That's normal procedures.
Sure.
But I see a lot of backlash on that, and I'm surprised. And if it's a family member, if you know them, if it's your friend or what, I mean, I'm sorry, but they broke the law. They get charged.
Right.
And their face is going on face so that and out so that that we have situational awareness for the community.
Sure.
The same with, and this could probably be rolled up into the town hall meeting, but and it can also go out like after the town hall, but our monthly stats. What our deputies are doing, what calls were going on, what cases, what investigations, without going into detail, that we're handling. How many overdose deaths, how many overdoses, what kind of drug activity we had. Because again, it's situational awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's something that I feel that I would want to know. I would want to read through that and say, yeah. I mean, and that's something that I'll look at every morning when I come in with the blotter report,
right?
The police CAD report, seeing what cases we had that night, seeing what where the thing. So that way, like I told them about my battle map, that's what I use. They got the addresses pinned in there with the names and stuff. So, and as far as budget, what the monthly, what our monthly expenditures were for the month, and what we're, if we have a high dollar item that we need to go to the public about and let the public know that, hey, I'm looking at, let's say, communication. That's a pretty pricey price tag.
Sure.
Instead of people saying, why'd you spend $200,000 on a new communicator? Well, the public may not know that when a deputy goes into a building, their extender doesn't work, or their phone might lose reception. And we talked about this before about the different communication setups, but there's blackout areas in the county. I mean, people driving around this county should know the blackout areas itself. But and that's the same with the radios. I mean, the radios may not get to an area. So from what I know, the state police have a great setup. I don't recall any blackout area or going in any buildings where they can't get reception. And that's something that's that's a critical issue for me, because I mean, that's officer safety.
Sure.
So something like that, and I mean, if it's going to be a big item like that, I mean, the public should know, hey, we're getting ready to drop this.
Right.
We got 4 or 5 vehicles with 200,000 miles on them already.
Right.
Older vehicles. So those vehicles that's again, officer safety. We can upkeep them, and we'll upkeep them as long as we can. But sooner or later, that's going to be a big ticket item where we're going to have to look at vehicles.
You can get a lot of traction real quick by taking those incremental steps and communicating and with the transparency with the community. I mean, I'm just going to give Sean Wilson, Mayor of Waynesville, a shout out. He's engaging with the community. I follow him on this podcast or whatever show. It goes a lot. I don't have to look at it right now, but I can look at it later. And I think it would carry a lot of weight. Definitely that kind of idea.
And probably the biggest thing with that too is, especially with the community, is if something happens within the sheriff's department with the deputy out there and something happens in the jail.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we've seen, because it's like, it doesn't age well if nothing's put out. And we had this go on in the jail, and we're handling it with this DDCC or whoever's investigating. This is how we're doing it.
Right.
Just want to make you aware. And I will update you when we get an update, when we can. Not to hinder the investigation, but if it's put out, if it happens, you find out what happens. You make sure that what you're getting ready to put out is correct, not like a Uvalde incident where they're putting out all kinds of misinformation. But and that's on me. I need to put that out to the public. I need to let them know, no matter if it may be the worst thing in the world, but you know what, it's got to be put out.
Right.
Because all that does is lead to the conspiracy theories or the sheriff's department's hiding something, or and that's a constant. That's going to be a fight to bring to the community that, hey, I'm not hiding crap.
Right.
If it makes me look bad, I got it.
Of course, there's time and places for everything, and you can't tell them you got under an investigation, open case and stuff.
Right.
There's legitimate times.
At least they know that there's something going on and it's being handled, instead of, well, Dad, what are they doing? What's going on?
It just occurred to me that OEM Office of Emergency Management's got that new notification system. Maybe that's something we could tie in. There's an incident at this. I don't know if that's capable. It just popped in my head. Yeah. They're still kicking the tires on that. But
I got an alert the other day, a little test message.
Yeah, I did too.
I signed up on it.
I did too. It works, and it's good to have. It's kind of like the one on post. Decision making. Now, this is a tough one. I don't know the mentality down the sheriff's department. Never been there. Never worked law enforcement, and I consider it in an office environment, or as prior enlisted, it's always been second guessed, and sometimes you're second guessed to the point where you're afraid to make a decision. How would you address, or what kind of decision-making process do you plan on using, or a blend of them, or how you go about making your decisions when it pertains to the role of sheriff? That's transparent to the point for your deputies and the public.
Well, with decision making, I mean, that's it's got to be thought out. It's got to be, and depending on what we're talking about. I mean, depending on what kind of decision has, if it, a life or death decision, it's got to be made.
Sure.
And you deal with the consequences they come, like the mass shooting.
Right.
Hey, there's no time to say. There's no decision to be made. We're law enforcement. We're going in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get shot, I'm sorry, I'm stepping over you, but I'm going direct to threat.
Right.
I'm going to neutralize the threat. So, I mean, decision making, that's an everyday thing.
Right.
Every day. I mean, there's not probably in a working day, there's going to be hundreds of decisions that need to be made. One example that comes to mind is, drug task force and having to serve search warrants. We couldn't get a search warrant team available or ready to go, so we had a hodgepodge of personnel, and I had already confirmed my target's back. He's re-upped. He's at the place where he's supposed to be. I got I just had my CI there.
Mm-hmm.
But I had probably 10 people that I had never worked with before.
Mm-hmm.
Never, maybe one or two might have been on a search warrant a time or two, maybe outside or whatever. But
Right.
they did a brief, which I wasn't comfortable with, and I tried to help them with that. They knew the target. They knew where we were going. They knew his criminal history. They knew his background, things like that. But when we got outside, they were my partner was with me, and I was like, "Hey, I am not comfortable with this at all. 100%, I am not." And he just looked at me and goes, "Hey, what are you gonna do?" I'm like, "LT, come here. Hey, I'm give me 5 people for in the morning. I hit it at 6 o'clock in the morning." And I called the search warrant off.
Yeah.
I wasn't about to put anybody in harm's way that didn't know the procedure, because number one, that puts the sheriff's department liability up way up there because they're not trained. And even when I say a team, even the team, I mean, they're not trained per se, but they have been through training. So that's those kind of decisions that, you know, hey, I'm in it. You know,
yeah,
it's not always about it's not always about the dope or the person. If you're going after whatever you're going after, I mean, sometimes you got to make that call. And I know they were upset. They were some of them were kind of irked, because they wanted to go on a search warrant, but it's more than that. It's your safety. It's your buddy's safety.
Right.
So we called it off, and we ended up going the next morning. So that's that. I mean, you feel that in your stomach, that in your gut, that gut feeling. I mean,
something's not right.
You trust your gut.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to be the same with a lot of things in that sheriff's department, with, trusting your gut, but when a decision's got to be made, somebody's got to make that decision. That's upon the sheriff, and the sheriff makes that decision. He lives with that decision and makes sure that, depending on that, you got the best available deputies, the best trained people that you possibly can to get out there and get it done. So,
right. It just reminds me of the Iraq War, where you go to war with what the army that you got. Is a bad phrase, but it is true.
It is, yeah.
It is true. But it talks to the next subject, talking about innovation, especially you knowing the budget, knowing what it is.
Yeah.
How do you plan on using innovation to exploit what you have and build upon it, and still do what you can, do as best you can to support and protect the citizens of Pulaski County?
Well, again, going back to the communications piece, and I don't know what they're doing with that communications piece, but I know we have updated vehicles with updated lights that kind of work with the vehicle, and kind of make it easier for got a lot of people that when those strobes are going, they end up getting seizures. So kind of like as the vehicle slows down, the strobes slow down, and so it kind of that kind of stuff that the sheriff department's trying to get into. But the other innovation piece is our communications is probably the biggest.
Right.
We got to be able to talk. We got to be able to talk to each other. But I don't know the communication piece as far, because before we couldn't talk to like the cities. We had to go through county comms,
right,
911 center. So that everybody can't afford the awesome systems. Got it. And cell phones are a great thing until you're in a dead area and can't use it.
Right.
So that's keeping along with that is continuing with the forensics that we have for like the computer crimes and for our online crimes for sexual predators and things like that that they're doing. That's something that needs to be sustained, because I mean, having the ability to download a phone, download a tablet, download a computer, I mean, that's a great asset.
Right.
You can learn a lot of information from those items.
We watch To Catch a Smuggler. That's the thing they love to do, is get those phones. They say, tell me, just scan it, upload it. You're done.
That's a good one, because it will definitely it'll definitely check the mark.
Sure.
As far as, and with that, we need to start using those for the drug crimes. For especially for overdoses. We get these phones right here.
Right.
This is probably the last communication that guy or gal had before they overdosed and
Right.
died.
Right.
That information's on this phone. We need to download it and find it.
Right.
We need to tie those pieces together.
Sure.
We need to start going after. We need to start going after these drug dealers for murder.
Sure.
I mean, we don't do it. I know it's free will, but we got parents, we got loved ones around here that they've lost their son or daughter, and they look at us. Hey, what are you going to do?
I can't agree more. We got a question from Dana. I always get that wrong.
Dana.
I always get that wrong. So here she says, you probably can't read it all the way up there, but a fentanyl crisis has claimed too many lives in our county, and it's not ending, leaving devastated families in its wake. If elected sheriff, what specific steps will you take to ensure that fentanyl-related deaths are thoroughly investigated and that victims' families receive the compassion and ongoing communication they deserve? We'll stop on that one. She's got a follow-up to that.
Yep. Well, the first thing, Dana, is that drug task force, getting the drug task force that's going to work, the right drug task force for this county. Getting that person out there in the county and start looking for the drug dealers to getting that information, getting that intelligence, along with the deputies. The deputies need to be. It's not a one-man show with the drug task force. I depended a lot on deputies.
Mm-hmm.
I depended a lot on St. Robert PD, Waynesville PD, Dixon, Crocker, all these city police. I mean, I got information from.
Sure.
As well as our community. What I found was community members that are in the community, they didn't want to talk. They didn't want to talk to the sheriff's department. When I say I'm with South Central Drug Task Force,
All right.
I you show my badge, you show my ID, and that gave them a little different outlook, a different view of who they're talking to,
Sure.
which it and understandably, and it helped them open up a little bit more to give me that information, because I knew that once I got that information, it wasn't going nowhere but with me,
Right.
because they feel that information is going to get out. But starting with that drug task force, getting a bulldog drug task force officer that will sniff out and we got a dog now, which is a great asset. I've met him finally. Beautiful dog. I haven't seen him work, but I can't wait to see him work. But with that drug task force officer, if I would have had a dog when I was working narcotics,
Right.
I know there's stuff I missed. I had to have missed, but
I watch them on that show. The smugglers, the dogs are just
the right handler, right dog, which I think Pulaski County has. Is going to be a great asset and a great deterrent.
Yeah.
But that dog and that drug task force officer working together, getting that information from the community, getting that information from the deputies, tying it together to get those and finding our workers. We got to have workers.
Right.
If I go up there and knock on the door and tell them I want a 8 ball of methamphetamine, they're going to tell me to go get lost.
Right. Nice way of putting it.
So the way that we worked, the investigation is the investigation, but at the end, the investigation got to lead to that arrest. It's got to lead to that drug dealer, and it's a ladder effect. We get the bottom guy. Hey, now we got you. Hey, who's help me out. You want help? You help yourself out, and then it just goes up the ladder.
Can that dealer be charged for manslaughter? Or I'm no lawyer by any of the case, but have you ever seen that case where you sell the drugs to me, I die of an overdose because of it, something happens to you?
That's what I'm getting into now with the overdose. Like I said before about the phones,
right?
The computers, the last people that were with them, because there's a lot of information, and there's a lot of information to tie this stuff together. It's just we don't take the time to do that, and it is time consuming. I got it. The easy answer is it was an overdose. It was write it up as an overdose, and corner it's an overdose. Not that the corner. I'm just saying that's just the way that we've been working it so long. That's the way it's been.
Mm-hmm.
Having met some of these families, I would go to overdose calls and immediately I was the bad guy. I was the one getting yelled at. I was the one MF'd because you work in a car. Why didn't you? And I totally, I empathize with them greatly, because that's not an easy situation to for me to be in. But I got to understand that they've just lost somebody. Right. They've lost a loved one, and at the end, I mean, they know that they need somebody to yell at, and
Sure.
that's what I had no problem being their sounding board. But tying that information together to try and get those drug dealers that are selling this poison that's killing people is a critical key. The feds are doing it now.
Right.
We're doing it. We got to get away from, well, it's free will. You put it in your arm. The drug dealer didn't put it in your arm. You did, or he or she did, and now they're gone. So, I mean, that's we gotta stop that attitude, because all we're going to do is be dealing with more overdose deaths. We're going to be until once we start charging people with murder or manslaughter. Once we start getting those charges, they're going to have a different outlook.
Oh, absolutely.
And I want them. They need to have a different outlook. They need to be scared.
There'd be some serious consequences.
Yes. And once they start seeing that, you know, they probably won't change because they're greedy. They want that money. But hey, move to another county.
Here she says they are being charged, but she was told that a county prosecutor refuses to use a phone to prosecute. I don't know if you can read that.
Yep.
I don't have firsthand knowledge because I can't speak to that.
Well, I'm not gonna speak for Kevin, but I know that is an issue with charges. I mean, all we can do is our job, and that's send those charges up. As sheriff, I will definitely have that conversation with the prosecutor, with Kevin or whoever the prosecutor is, if depending. But that's a conversation with the sheriff and the prosecutor about trying to get these. And I mean, if the prosecutor won't do it, because we've had ATF and we've had DEA come to Phelps County from St. Louis. Springfield works our area,
right?
And see if they want to handle it. See if they want to get involved with it. I mean, there's assets out there, federal assets out there that we can use and to our advantage to try and get, especially if we end up getting this guy with you know trafficking for fentanyl or heroin, either one. That looks better. That's better for the the feds. The feds don't deal with little small amounts. They don't deal with they want it worth when they want a case that the USA AUSA can go in there and say, hey,
right,
here's the case. He's guilty. Because feds, they're going to do 85% of their time.
Wow, I did not know that.
They're not going to get out after 2 years. And
well, Miss Rourke, thank you so much for your comment talking about just that.
Yeah, that's
thank you so much for your comment, by the way. Thank you for watching the show.
Yeah, that's usually, I mean, 7 to 10 years, and they get out in 120 days, 120 a year or whatever. They're not doing their full time, but once they get charged with that federal prison, they're
minimum sentencing guidelines is what they call, maybe, I don't know. Oh, you wasn't watching there.
I haven't decided on that, Darren. I haven't decided on that task force yet.
Make sure we got Dana's covered.
Oh, yes. She had another one.
Yeah. Collaboration. Speaking of, you got my notes, Dana? You got my notes.
Well, I didn't elaborate on the phone there. She was talking about the phone.
Okay. No, that's fine. Collaboration across agencies is crucial to how you will work with families and partners to address the root causes. Collaboration between agencies, I'm sure she's talking about. And stakeholders, internal and external.
Can you drag that down?
Let me see. I got the mouse in my hand.
Or if not, read it for me again.
See, it's on. What's the problem is it's on the screen. There we go. Come on, fingers. Fat fingers, go.
Okay.
There we go. All right, we're reading it. She just picked up the phone and called us, but we're happy you got your comment. Thank you so much for putting them down, taking time to type it.
It's
my cat. Let me get my cat. I'll let you answer, Dana.
Yeah, Dana. Like I've already said, it's when you lose a loved one to someone like that, I mean, there's got to be some type of support. There's got to be some type of some way to get you the answers you need, and that should be through the investigation. And I'm gonna push 100% these phones. If the phone is the phone, if I don't know of too many people where I'm gonna text for Doug and text the drug dealer for Doug, and Doug's gonna text for on another phone and go that route, so that we don't know who's texting or anything like that. I mean, there's ways we can determine who was on that phone or who's used that phone. And I'm a strong advocate of starting to use these phones, these computers, these tablets to find the evidence, find the information that we need to make that case stronger, to get the right charges on the right people. Collaboration across other agencies. We're talking about counselors and community services and things like that. ComC and folks like that, folks like our churches and our clergy and our ministry teams and people like that, who I've talked to some of them. We need to have some type of program where if the family members can, if I need a pastor, or a rabbi, or a minister or something like that to or if you have your own to contact and have them come out or meet and discuss things at the same time, counsel our addicts and give that service to our people in jail, which I talked a little bit about that, about one of my my HOPE program, but with that program, and I'm talking about the people in jail, not people that have lost their loved ones to an overdose, but that's going to be the first line of defense in trying to solve this problem. Sure. We as law enforcement, we arrest the problem. We don't have the money and resources to have a big city budget where we can have all these different people on our force for counsel and things and for different types of problems and things like that we run into with outside in the public. So it's going to have to come from the community. Right. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to be involved. Dana, who's an angel mom, I mean, I spoke to her, and people like Dana that will help get that message out to other parents that may be clueless, because I mean, some parents aren't parents anymore. They're friends, and they don't really monitor what their kids are doing, or they don't monitor these phones. They don't monitor their computer. But getting that word out to on our town hall meetings, right? Having some of these angel moms come in and talk about their experiences, that's going to hit home, and have it's not coming from me. I'm just up there preaching to the choir, but it's coming from someone that's experienced this traumatic event, to try and help a parent so that they don't feel that same loss as someone like Dana or some of our other angel moms. That's going to be another. That education is key. Getting our drug experts that can talk about the effects of fentanyl and know that when Officer Ball or Sheriff Ball says 4 milligrams will make me go to sleep forever. Well, I don't believe that. It's only 4 milligrams. Well, now you have an expert here. Right. No, it will cause you to overdose. It will cause you to go to sleep forever.
And I got to agree with you. And I think the requirements put upon the sheriff's department is X. The capacity is Y, and there's a gap. There's always going to be a gap, and community support and involvement is going to have to be a big part of this, because as big of a role as the sheriff has, and I hate to say it, but it's going to take the entire county of experts, people, residents, to at least to try to get our hands around this issue.
I've talked to a lot of people about this that want to volunteer, that want to help, that want to be involved in like a jail ministry for the inmates, and the biggest, because we don't have the budget, we don't have the budget to afford all this stuff. So the volunteers, I mean, those that want to volunteer and do things and like that for the sheriff's office will be a tremendous asset. we're going to end we're on our, we're doing things our own way.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a team effort. I'm a team player. It's got to be a team effort. And if not, then we're just going to be stuck in the same thing we're at right now.
Doing one of these,
So
their responsibility.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have to make the calls to find the people that they need to talk to, or that's part of our job. That's part of our.
It's like having
part
the
of
old
our service.
Rolodex. Who do I call?
Right.
I got somebody I can reach out to.
So there's always someone on call for ComC
Yeah.
and places like that. We can't just depend on the Narcan vending machine downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we have to be more proactive in what we're doing out there as law enforcement officers, and part of that is when we run into that type of incident, that we got to understand what they're going through. We got to understand that that they're going to be they're upset, they're going to be mad at probably law enforcement. We got to take that with and provide them the support and comfort and anything we can do to make them a little bit better, feel a little bit better. I mean, and if, like I said, if that's calling somebody to come out, if that's getting them the names and numbers of people to call, every deputy should have something. I know a lot of them have little cards where they got like key numbers, or it's in their phone.
Yeah.
That they can just look at it. Hey, I'm going to text you this. I'm going to give you this number. Write this number down before I call this person.
Before I forget this topic, cell phones. Are the deputies issued cell phones, or are they having to use their own?
Use their own.
Oh, it's too bad.
Except for if you, like, I think the detectives have their own phones.
Right. Okay. Now this ties in really well, and thank you so much for your comment, Dana. Angela, you as well. Thank you so much for watching. Mr. Fredrickson, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. You're first time you comment. Hopefully you're a long time listener. But this ties in really close right into empathy. And I think you touched on it in one of our prior conversations, but maybe you could talk to the importance of being an empathetic leader, especially not only to the sheriff, but to the community. We talked about the time the people are going to see the sheriff, maybe the first time, and it's a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're leading right into it. It's like we lined up our questions today perfectly, especially with the audience. So talk a little bit about maybe your experience and how you approach it.
Well, you definitely have to put yourself in their situation. Anybody you're dealing with a traumatic situation like that, or you have to not take it personal, but you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes, because well, I shouldn't say fortunate, but I can relate to especially the overdose, because my father overdosed.
Oh, really?
So I can relate. He overdosed in 1994, December 23rd. So I can relate to that, and that's probably why I wanted to be work narcotics so hard, because I wanted to try and make a difference.
Sure.
But this county's so jacked up. I mean, it's like Dana said, it is everywhere, and we don't have anybody working it right now, so there's like a free for all.
Right.
So putting yourself in their shoes and understanding what they're going through is a key part. Being able to talk, just to have a conversation, to talk to them, because it's all how we're talking to, we, just because they're not answering our questions, we can't get upset and angry about it.
Right.
We got to, just just take your time.
Right.
It may not be the time to write a statement. It may not be time to get the answers. It depends on, just the situation you're going through. But I think I've always been empathetic with in my dealings with anybody that I've come in contact with about, their feelings and what they're going through and needing help. That is a huge part of it's not just the sheriff, but that's the deputy, that's law enforcement in general. Because I mean, like I said, we're in the business of helping people.
Right.
If we can't put ourselves in their shoes, then it's going to be a short profession for them, because I mean it's not going to work out.
I see that so often too, especially on traffic stops. Now I watch cops. Matter of fact, that's how I got my body.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about putting yourself in that person's shoes being pulled over, and how they're going to feel nervous, and don't read into every little twitch and feel. But then again, you have a job to do, but being able to communicate to whoever you're dealing with and be empathetic to that person. And it ties in also to your leadership with the deputies, encouraging them and leading them to be empathetic to our populace in the
Absolutely.
county.
I mean, that's the communication is daggone key. That verbal judo is magical. I mean,
Right.
your first 10 seconds of the conversation is dictated by, how that interaction between you two. And that body camera is a wonderful thing.
Sure.
I mean, if not, it's not just the sheriff's department. I mean, the local police, they get accused of being rude and arrogant and, downright stupid with people. And it comes from a call. Well, I don't want to say my name, or it's anonymous, or they put it on Facebook.
Right.
But that body camera, I mean, if anytime you have an interaction with somebody, that body camera needs to be on.
Yeah.
So that's our line of defense.
Absolutely.
So
because you can't expect a deputy to have 100% recollection.
No.
I mean, it helps in an investigation, I'm sure, as well.
Absolutely. Because when you're writing out your report and be like, oh man, because spontaneous statements, what did he say? Okay. Yeah. He said, rewind. Yeah. He said this. Yeah. He said this. Okay. So absolutely. It's great for that.
Right.
And, it's not they're recording us.
Sure.
I mean, not everybody, but for the most part, they're out there recording us. They're watching exactly what we do, and they're posting online. They're giving it to news agencies. And that's, and then you see the body cam footage, you're like, well, I never saw that.
Right.
That's a whole different, I didn't hear how they were talking to each other, but I don't expect my deputies to take a lashing from anybody either. I mean, their deputies will remain professional, and they will, and dignity and respect. But when the time comes to that deputy's got to make a decision, whether let them go, write them a ticket, arrest them, whatever they're doing. I don't expect that that respect needs to come back. Sure, I mean, that deputy's got a job to do.
Well, is it do not confuse your rank with my authority? That's why I was at Germany, and as a sergeant major at the beer tent, getting kind of ruckus, and he starts asking off the specialist MP, and that MP is the wisest words I ever heard. Do not confuse your rank with my authority. That brasser goes a long way. Same with the badge of an officer.
And again, especially if they got somebody pulled over, I mean, I've been pulled over.
Sure, I have too.
And my heart, I'm a police officer, and my heart's racing. I'm like, daggone. It's usually by a trooper, or highway patrol rather, but they come out, doing 73 and a 65 or whatever. I'm like, I wasn't paying attention. Yep. You sit there and argue with it. I mean, it's just, you're caught. I mean, there's no, you can try and talk your way, but the more you talk, I mean, just the bigger hole you're going to dig.
Right.
But dignity and respect by both, I mean, it goes a long way, but I do understand that officers do have a lot of, with everything they've seen on social media and the news, we have a lot of ground to make up, and it's unfortunate because those are a few bad apples.
Sure.
And because we have, deputies and police officers in this county that, they're dignity and respect, and they know how to communicate. And, but once somebody gets out of line and the deputy says, hey, be quiet.
Right.
I'm talking, I'm trying, it comes to that point, and then it's, the deputy's rude to me. That's why
they have a job to do.
Yes, that body camera is so that way when they call and report, something's going on, I can just look at that body camera and say, hey, call them back.
Right.
Hey, yes, the deputy was wrong, and I will take care of it.
Do they have body cams now? She asked. I
yes.
Gotta scroll up.
Yes, they do. Okay. Or hey, if you didn't help the situation. I mean, the deputy came up to you, but you kept arguing back. The deputy was trying to calm you.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have my deputy get yelled at, cursed at, and belittled.
Right.
For trying to do his job. So I mean, it's a two-way street. So it's definitely a valuable asset for the deputies.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Rossi Ross. Communication skills are a must. That, and I know you truly care about the people in the county. And she asked again, Dana, ask how long have they had the cameras? Do you know?
Shoot.
Well, we'll get back with you on that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. It's been several years. they've went through a couple iterations of body cameras. Because I know at the school we used to wear a wolf body camera,
Right.
and then the sheriff's department ordered some. They didn't like them, and they went to another to the body camera they have now. So they went through. It's been several years. I don't know exactly how long though.
We're going to go down to vision. Well, actually, I got one. This is not a hot topic. It's one that came to mind. Me and the wife were having supper. I was thinking about growing up in small town, Iowa. We only had a sheriff's department, and one town in the county had resources for police force. And thinking of Crocker, thinking of the small communities that we have, has that ever been approached as a potential outlet where the cities would pay the counties to the sheriff to have law enforcement? That's what we did growing up. We had sheriff in the small towns because the cities can't afford it. That's a lot of resources. That's my bean counter hat coming on.
It is, and I will tell you, that has been a thought in my mind for, but I believe with their taxes,
right?
I don't think they can do it. Something with their police taxes they've passed. I don't know for sure, but I don't know that any of the mayors would want to do that.
Right.
I know because
they give up control for one. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing with that, and that getting these city police and the sheriff's office working together, training together. If we have training, we invite. I invite tell the chiefs, and hey, we got
right.
Send 2 or 3 people down. We got training going on for tomorrow or these next 2 days. Tactical training together.
Right.
I would love to have a SWAT, not just a county SWAT team, but or Pulaski County PSERT team, but a county team with all the agencies. That's always been too hard to do. And I once I get in, and that's going to be a conversation with the chiefs,
right,
to try and make that happen. I don't know if it will or not, but a lot of things are dependent on the sheriff's office.
Sure.
And it's overbearing because any police department could put a drug task force officer in, along with the sheriff's department. It's not just the sheriff's department thing.
Right.
Any police department can. So if they want to share the burden,
right,
being responsible for the county, because now I will tell you, when I've had search warrants in Waynesville, St. Robert, Dixon, that was counted, but for especially those 3, I've had search warrants in where I've had city officers help, and they provided a vital manpower for us to
right.
To get into the building and to secure it and safely and so we could go through our protocols of searching for the dope.
Because sometimes it's a matter of haves and haves not.
Yeah.
And pooling, that's what I was thinking. We pooled in Iowa, we pooled the resources, but still, we had the county seat had their own police force because they could afford it and they wanted to keep it. It's just like you said, I suppose. It's what the voters want, what the populace wants.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be a valid solution.
I mean, to pull the assets together, to get more sheriff deputies on the road, and they could be area specific. I mean, those are some of the things that, if they're coming from Dixon and those 5 Dixon officers work Dixon, those 4 officers work Crocker, those, I don't think it will ever come to fruition, but that is, it depends on, how bad the police, how bad their force gets hit with, if they can't find people to work. Cause we've had to go out to Richland and work, as they were building their force back up. And that's I don't know what I think it was, I wasn't on the road then, I was at the school, but life or limb or something like that for the sheriff's department to go out to the city proper,
right,
at night. But what that does is you got 2 deputies on the road. Now you got to respond to Richland or Crocker, wherever, if they need support. That takes away from the county.
Sure.
So I mean but all these, they cover for us as well.
Right.
If we're tied up, then the city police dispatch calls city police in whatever city, and they usually help out. I want to try and get away from that, because when you call a deputy, you want a deputy.
Right.
You don't want a Dixon cop. You don't want a St. Robert cop. You're a taxpayer for the county. You want a county deputy.
Right.
Until we get the manpower, it's going to take us all working together.
Sure. Understood. That ties in nicely to the last question.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your vision. Come January. When would you take over? January
1st.
January 1st. And you're going to point a finger on a map. So this is the direction we're going.
Right.
What's that look like?
Well, the first thing is showing the people that we can manage the daggone budget. Showing the people they can trust us with the budget, and so that they can see where the money's going, so they can see why we need and nobody likes to pay taxes. I got it. But the half-cent sales tax that we're on now was never going to work with the way the jail, and I think we talked about that a couple times, that that money's eaten up by the jail.
Yeah.
So it throw it away
until it's paid for.
Exactly. But then we talked about our federal inmates, housing federal inmates temporarily. That's going to be the key.
Right.
To give our budget some relief. That federal inmate that's going to be the key. So to get that money, because that's the sheriff's department money, and that's money used for pay raise. That's money used for getting more people into the jail, more road deputies, better equipment, things like that, jail upkeep. That's all that money goes towards that. And that's not taxpayer money. So that gives relief to that budget.
Right.
What I would love, especially for the jail, I want to work towards getting 5 jailers per shift, 4 teams of 5, not including my admin and my admin or my sergeant, but corporal and 3 jailers. The road, I would love to never see 5, but 4 teams of 4 with the lieutenant and the sergeant, lieutenant, 2 sergeants, and then corporals and their 3 member teams. That gives us 4 in the county on a shift. Barring vacation or leave or something going on like that.
Right.
But that's easily occupied by the sheriff.
Right.
The lieutenant, whoever the next man up. I mean, it can easily, fill that gap.
Sure.
So I would love to get 4 teams of 5, but that is probably not. I'm not going to reach for the star. I'm going to reach for what I think we can maintain, especially if we get those federal inmates to be temporarily housed in our jail. Because the more people you have, the more obviously robust your force looks. But in the meantime, is continue working with the police departments, continue working with our county sheriffs, and being a team player with everyone. So that way, when we call for help, we need help. That sheriff has no problem coming over helping. I have no problem going over with that sheriff helping. So it all revolves. I'm sorry to say, but it all revolves around the money.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's unfortunate, but nobody wants to work for free unless the reserves. And that's the reserve force. The reserve force needs to be built back up. Right. When I started reserving, I think we had maybe 15. We had a lot of reserves that would just come in every now and then and work, and especially weekends to give somebody a day off. I would get called all the time by league, and hey, can you come in Saturday? And somebody, I got somebody I need to give them a day off. Yeah, I'll come in. Yeah. Especially with P-cert stuff, and that reserve force is a tremendous help to the sheriff's department. And I'm going to build that back up, and I'm going to get some quality reserves on the road, reserves that aren't afraid to take cases, because that's some of the problem is they want to ride around, but when a case comes, they don't want to do the case.
Right.
You push it off the deputy who's already got 10 cases. not saying all of them do it, but I mean, that's a problem I've seen with some, and that's why, they, but I think there's only 2 or 3 reserves right now left in the sheriff's department, and they don't work the road. They help other areas of well, one does, but the other 2 were other areas of, help the sheriff's department.
Excuse me. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Last question. Well, Darren. Darren's got one last question. It's a good question. I want to rephrase that. If you're elected sheriff, and after I'm going to say 2 terms, I'm going to give you 2 terms. How would you measure a successful time as sheriff? What would be your measuring stick? What would say I did what I could. I did a good job. Maybe that's maybe I'm taking his words too literal, but the measuring stick when it comes to a successful tenure, your tenure. What's success look like?
Well, success. I mean, I'm giving myself 4 terms, just so you know.
Okay.
not 2, but
confidence is a good thing.
A successful, tenure as sheriff is the community. The community is supports us wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
The community knows they can call the sheriff's department. The community trusts the sheriff's department. The community trusts the deputies. And that legacy is tenure legacy. I mean, that legacy is a huge thing. So, you want to leave the sheriff's department better than when you took over. That's the bottom line when it comes to legacy. And that's every unit I've been in, every place I've been, every job I've worked.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't always been the best of conditions, but I've left it better than when I took it over. And that's what every leader should strive for.
Mm-hmm.
When they come into an office or when they go into a job or something like that. It may not be glamorous, it may not be the best of conditions, but by God, it's going to be better than when I got here. It's going to have,
right.
I'm going to have procedures set in place so that when this next person steps in, they may not, they may not like what I did. They may not like how I have my policies or what, but they're there so they can easily modify them. They can, the deputies are, well trained, well equipped. The jailers, the detention officers are well trained, well equipped, know their job. I'm not leaving them a bag of smashed buttholes. That's what I see as far as is successful is the next sheriff, leaving him with something better than what I had.
Right. It's just like the Army. That's why I had the same mentality. When somebody comes, I want to say good things about me when I was gone. Well, that's not how Sergeant Fowler did it. Well, not necessarily bad, but good. You put these processes.
And there's a million ways to skin a rabbit.
That's a good comment. Thank you, Dana. Your community wanted you to remain sheriff because you have changed the way the community thinks I can't get that part. We'll leave it at that. So, thank you so much for coming in again. I know we got one more scheduled at least.
Yep.
And so we can't wait to have you come back. Thank you for everybody watching. The most viewers and comments we've had. This should be a high count video. I appreciate it. Remember, it's available on department. Thank you, Dana. It's also available on YouTube. And make sure you thank our sponsors, especially this sponsor. A to Z Exterminators are our key sponsor for this way, but we thank you as well. I get tongue-tied. I'm tired.
No, I'm laughing at the different way to skin a cat.
I always like the one you can't swing a dead cat without hitting something like that. But thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Stacy, once again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here for you and put this in place. And make sure you thank our sponsors. And if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, see Pulaski-podcast.com. You can sign up 3 different levels and help make us a little bit better. Maybe you get us some air conditioning in here. We're sweating terribly. So we'll see y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
Amen.